And welcome to another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host as always, Tina. How you doing, Tina?
I'm doing all right on a Sunday morning.
Not too
We're
shabby.
Doing this on a different day. Yeah, it's kind of nice.
I know. It's weird, huh? Maybe we should start.
I did not want to get out of bed, though, I got to tell you. I even sound kind of deep today.
Yeah, I was up early. I was up early anyway. So someone actually listened to the last podcast and actually who's a friend of ours from high school, actually, who I don't know if I'm sure you know her, but if you don't, she went to high school with us. And she was like, she's not a podcast person. So she was like, she goes, I don't know. I can't listen to them. I'm like, yeah, I understand. It's not for everybody. But she goes, your voice sounded very sexy last week. And I was like, well, yeah, because I'm sick. It sounded like a fucking radio DJ.
Right. So, it did. Totally did.
So I was like, yeah, I go, you should try to give she was just like, yeah, they're, podcasts are this and that. I go, look, they're not for everybody. But yeah. I go, I'll tell you, if you just listen to one and then say that you can't listen to any of them, you're selling yourself short.
Yeah.
You should definitely try more. So anyway, yeah, it's been a fun week of being sick and having the vid. So I feel better. But yeah, it's good. Make sure all those people out there, you're going to our socials and keeping in touch with us, because all these shows that you're going to be hearing in the next couple of months a lot of them are giving them to us by you. So go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and check it out. And go check us out on Apple and Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon, all that good stuff. Or anywhere you can hear podcasts. And how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm still house sitting for a couple more days. So both of my worlds are kind of a mess right now, and that drives me crazy, but I'm not complaining. I mean, life isn't bad. So just trying to go through the motions and keep up with everything, coming off a really hectic Christmas season with work. So I'm okay. Life is all right. Yeah.
That's not too bad. So you're happy.
Happy, yeah. Well, that's a good way to throw this in there. Yeah,
you like that?
I'd say I'm happy-ish.
That was a segue today.
Yes,
a segue to today's show. This came through like I don't even know where it came up, but I asked you a long time ago and I wrote it down. But is real happiness attainable? And I think that's kind of the question of a lot of people is like, because I started asking a bunch of different people because I wanted to bounce it off, because people are like, oh, how you doing? I'm pretty good. Are you happy? Yeah, I'm happy. And maybe they are. And I think that happiness is kind of a hard thing to get to. So I asked a friend of mine what she thought, and let me grab that text message because I thought it was kind of interesting. She said, I think generally, yes, but that doesn't mean the bad or sad things are never going to happen in life. Mm-hmm. And I would kind of go with that. At first, I would have, way back when I asked you, I would have told you that happiness is not attainable at all.
Yeah, you did. You did tell me that. And I was like, yeah, it is.
I was like, nope. And I think from listening to other people and kind of bouncing things off and looking from the outside in at lots of other people in my life, or, look, we all chase friends on Facebook that we've known for fucking 35 years. And everything comes up, So I think with social media, everyone's happy generally. Because it's a place where you post shit that's like things are whatever you're doing.
Well, I don't want to hear that people are miserable on Facebook. Like, I want to see the good stuff. If somebody wants to be miserable and they're having a hard time, they should pick up the phone and call. Like that's how I see it. That's the time for personal stuff. But if you're just sharing the fact that you have grandkids now, or your son hit a goal for the first time ever, I want to see that. I like that.
I agree.
But I don't want to see all the crappy stuff on Facebook. I hate, well, I got almost completely rid of it, all the political stuff, just by ignoring it. It doesn't come back. And I don't have to be frustrated with the friend whose posts are really negative, because I just kind of let it sleep for 30 days. And, I only am left with the good stuff. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's positive. I think, well, that'll make you happy. Pretty much.
Well, it doesn't piss me off. I mean, I know people that will post things and they've actually said, like, some asshole said something on my social media. And I was like, why would you even say that? And it made me lose sleep. Like, yeah, there is no freaking way I am losing sleep over that idiot. Just get rid of it. Like, just, if you have to, just ignore it. It's not a big deal. I'm not even saying unfriend people, because that kind of causes its own drama, but you could definitely not have to hear it. And you could stay off your damn social media. Go take a walk in the park, or spend time with a friend, or go see your parents, live.
Yeah, definitely. I think that happiness can be achieved that way for sure. I think social media, we've talked about it several shows. It's just the downer. I think when things like MySpace and Facebook first came around, they were brilliant ideas because they were bridging a gap of distance between old friends.
Yes, for sure. And that is a great idea. I love that I could hear my friend with his son they live in Germany, and I could, listen to the little video and hear his son talking. It's cute as hell. Like, I'm cool with that. I don't need to be there. I don't have to do anything. I just know that everything, at least for that little bit, was happy. And there you go with the happiness thing. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with that.
So I had an epiphany last night while I was taking a shower after.
Yeah, I want to hear about this one.
After being sick for a week, I was like, I better try to look like a human being and feel like a human being. So I'm taking the shower last night, knowing that we have to record today. And all these things start kind of flashing at me about this happiness subject. So I run out of the shower, dripping wet still. I have a pad and paper next to my desk that we do the show at. And I start writing down all this stuff, because I wanted to remember it, because, my short-term memory after being beaten for 20 years isn't the greatest anymore. So I wrote it all down, but the first thing I wrote was, happiness may be real, but it's all in short bursts between the sad and the incredible. And let's see. And it's technically, or let's see, it's between periods of chasing for a better happy. So I think that, yes, that there is happiness, and it's probably in waves. Obviously, between the sad and the incredible is happy, right? You're somewhere where you have this really high, whatever this high is, you're skiing in the Alps. And then you have this incredible sad where it's just a shitty day. Whatever happened to you is a shitty day. And then there's that middle ground of, yeah, I'm happy. But I always think we're chasing a better happy. All of us. Whether it's getting to that incredible or trying to have that standard happy where you're just like, yeah, things are all right. I get up in the morning, I do my routine, I, walk my dog, I do this, I go to work, I come home and eat and see my kid and blah, blah, blah. So those are like your routinal happies. So I think that happiness is real, but I don't know if it's a standard. I think we're always chasing whatever the next happy is.
I don't necessarily think you have to chase anything to be happy. You know, I personally, with the last couple of years I've had, it has really had to work at being happy. And part of what I did to do that was just find things to be grateful for. Find things that like aren't the pain in your ass situations that you have to deal with. Be cautious of being in the moment, because there's so many times where you could hear something and then your brain just goes off on a tangent, and that's not your reality. You don't need to live it. And I think that like social media is a really a prime example. Sometimes you just got to leave that shit alone and go walk in the grass. Like we've had, 2-3 weeks where it seems like a year of rain lately. Everybody's got grass again. I haven't seen not one person walking in it. You know, being in touch with nature, that it puts your brain in a different place so that you do look for the positive. And if you're doing that, you're going to have a better life. You're going to be more content. Is content happy to some? Or if you're really elated, is that what happy is to some? Some people, it scares the shit out of being that happy, being that elated, So I think that first of all, it's getting your attitude right, being in gratitude, and then looking for things to just remind you that life isn't a bad thing. And that should be what makes happy.
There you go. I would kind of go with that. I definitely think the outside thing is huge. Again, after the last fucking 2 years of being locked inside and not being able to go and be around human beings, it's been a big deal. Like mostly for me, now that I can go outside and pretty much have to, because I have an animal that I need to take care of. But it's definitely changed me. Like now I'm looking for other places to go, like maybe into the mountains and hiking trails and doing different things, because it definitely takes you to a different form of happiness, even though, I definitely think the bigger world opens you up to seeing things a lot differently.
Oh, absolutely. I at work yesterday, I had 2 clients. They were big money clients because of what I had to do to them. And one of the clients is dealing with her mom aging and nobody really being there to help take care of her except for her 2 children, and trying to have her own life and yet be there for her mom. And she's starting to get resentful. And she's like, I just want to be happy with my mom. And she can't because she's resentful. And I think where it comes from is the fear of what happens when her mom goes. She's already worried about her mom dying. And so this is like a heavy topic while I'm sitting there throwing, color on her hair. And it was weird because I don't normally share certain stories. And when I was 5, I had my tonsils taken out. I woke up during the surgery, ripped all of them out. I don't know if I've said that story on the air. Have I done that?
I don't think so.
Okay. So ripped out all my stitches. I saw everybody running around me. I saw the surgical light, and then the surgical light went completely white. Okay. So apparently I missed a couple heartbeats and they were trying to revitalize me. But during that time, I had like an outer body experience of being wherever we go after this. And I'm telling her this story, and I'm thinking the whole time, I don't know this woman. I'm telling her a very private story that even one of my very good friends that I've known since I was 17 doesn't know. And it's really a heavy story, and I'm slapping color on her hair. But you know what I was trying to convey is not to fear the fact that her mom's going to go. I told her how I got through my mom's passing, how I didn't get to say goodbye. and how you have to find the good stuff to keep you going. And I remember leaving and I was in a really good mood. And I said to my friend, because I went out afterwards, and I said, I just had the heaviest emotional day that I could possibly have with my clients. And yet I'm feeling pretty good. And I realized that I was able to get my brain in a place where I wasn't in misery, thinking about the things that had gone on. And I thought that I had come a long way, because being in the middle of COVID, or the beginning of COVID, in that uncertainty, and then deciding to get divorced and not knowing how life was going, that to me was terrifying. And I don't think I found happy. I don't think I even looked for happy during that time. I lived in a state of being fearful and uncertain about what was going to happen next. And I'm still fearful and uncertain 2 years later. And yet I'm doing okay. I'm feeling all right. But it took some work. I had to decide to look for something better.
I mean, I
guess good. That's where you come to with you're constantly looking.
Yeah, I think it's a wave.
Makes you happy.
It's a wave of happiness. Happiness is a wave where, look, you can ride a wave, and look, you can ride a wave for a long time if you're good. You can have a happiness wave that goes for months or years where things are just really good. Because I kind of looked at happiness is first of all, what is it for you? That's the first thing you have to do. Is find out what your happiness is, and then spoon feed it to yourself.
I think happiness starts with your health, though. If you think about it, like people don't seem to be as happy if they have chronic illness. They don't seem to be able to get to that place where they're just okay, because they're not, and they're constantly living in fear of what's going to happen with their health. So I think for sure, if you're happy, you need to start off with your health and being grateful that you have it.
Yeah, yes, because feeling good, whatever that is for you, it is going to make you happy. Your health. Mm-hmm. So if you're feeling good every morning and you're getting sleep and you're doing this, that's the start to any happiness. I would agree with you. But I think that you need to find out whatever your happiness is. So like, what is, for happiness to be attainable, it has to be something that's attainable. So it's your environment, right? Where you're at, where you work. Since we're at work more than we are at home, you have to make sure that makes you happy. If you're in a relationship, that part of it needs to also be good, because the times you're not at work, you're going to be at home. So your home life has to have an attainable happiness. So I think there's a lot of different things, because that's one of the other things I was kind of thinking about last night. Like, you look at like homeless people who most of the time look pretty happy, even though we would think that they shouldn't be, because they are in a dire situation. But then you look at ultra rich people who have hung themselves or shot themselves living in a penthouse suite in New York. So even that doesn't make you happy. Because
you see all these women buying all these brand name bags and all of they have to have the bigger cars, the better cars, the better whatever, and the nails and the hair and the makeup and the eyelashes, and not one of them smiles. I see that all the time. I'm like, okay, you got exactly what you wanted. Your husband bought you exactly what you said needed to be in your closet, and yet you don't wear it, and you don't enjoy it, and you don't have money in your purse because you spend all of it on the outside, and you look miserable. Like, what are you chasing? So to me, that made sense very early in my life that wasn't what was going to make me happy. Money allows you to do things, but it definitely doesn't that's not what's going to make you happy. Having stuff doesn't make you happy. It becomes a burden. You don't know where to put it, and you don't know what to do with it, and you don't want to part with it. So you just accumulate more and more like that. I've learned early on that the money part, wherever you live, whatever you do, that's not going to make you happy.
I agree. I think that look, money's a great start. It will get you places. But like you said, I think that it also puts you in situations where you're just chasing the next big thing. Like you said, like you got this car, so now you have to have this car. You have this house, and now you have to have this house. Or you're always keeping up with the Joneses as well, right? You're always going to keep up with the neighbors next door who might have more money. So you're trying to do this and balance this and go here instead of just seeing what you have in front of you. And sometimes what you have in front of you is the best happiness in the world. So I think with thinking this over for the last couple of weeks, you know, like I said, I would have told you 2 weeks ago, happiness is nonsense. It's never attainable. It's not something you can get. Now I would kind of disagree with what I was thinking then. I think it is an attainable thing. It's going to take a lot to get there. And I think that's what makes a lot of people give up, right? You just like, oh, we're never going to be happy. Or I'm never. Well,
not with that attitude, for sure.
Well, I just think that, you know, some people are buried under a lot of things. You know, every single person, like I said, it's a wave, right? In most things are a calm wave, right? Just nice little calm wave going down. Some people live in the surf, and they like to live in the surf, and they want to be riding these really high waves. And unfortunately, those high waves generally crash. So I like that constant little wave. I just want to get on my board and just, or maybe even
You're
like
not a roller coaster guy.
I don't mind them, but you know, I don't mind being on a river either, and just kind of going down the river and let me see the pretty that's there. Because sometimes that's just an easier happy, and still makes you just as happy.
Yeah.
But I look at the small things now, I think, being bigger than the bigger things. The small things are what keep you living, what keep your heart going, what keep you searching in the right direction for whatever it is you're looking for. So I look at like a lot of different things over how I see my friends and where they're at in different places where they live simple lives. And I mean simple, super simple lives. Don't have monstrous houses. Some of them don't even have a house. They live in an apartment still, and just happy. Just getting by. It's like, cool. But I see them on their adventures, regardless of what that is, whether they're, you know, kayaking in the harbor in Ventura. Just that's what they do. Just get up every morning, throw the dog in the kayak, and off you go.
And I think that's part of finding happy is you need to have activities or do things that make you feel good. Like even the basket weaving that I do, I know that just sounds so weird. I'm kind of, I wouldn't say obsessed, but I look forward to doing it, and I miss it when I can't do it. And the reason for that is because we really work on keeping our attitude up and being positive and supporting each other and putting prayer into what we're doing so that we have something that will bring some sort of positive energy to the person we're giving it to. That's the whole concept behind doing these things. And, I find I can't do it enough. And I have a pain in my finger, and I have where I split the skin, and I'm having calluses in places in the sides of my fingers from pulling on the cords and stuff. And I have an ache in my elbow from having to sit there with my hands cramped up the way they are. And yet when I sit down with the women that I do this with, my cousins, I am so at peace and happy doing it. And I don't know where that came from. It wasn't like I said, this is going to make me happy. It definitely was not. I remember when I started, my cousin asked me if I wanted to do it. I just said yes to make her happy. I was like, sure, I'll do it with you. There was no commitment. I'd be doing it a year later. Also with the podcast, when we started this, I didn't think it'd be going for a year. Like, had I put any thought into it, I would have said, wow, this is going to be a big commitment. Should, like, do I still want to do it? Because at the time I was running from commitments,
Sure.
So I think that it's finding the good in whatever it is that you're doing and then running with it. And if you could find good in talking to your friend on a podcast, you should do it. And
Exactly.
if it means weaving pine needles around a damn basket, that's what you should do too. If it's, another thing I like to do, which is so stupid, but I find that it makes me so stinging happy. If there's a song on in my car that I really like and it's going to make me dance, I get out of the car and I'm standing on the front lawn and I'll just start acting like a fool. And whoever's in the car is laughing their ass off because car is still on. The door is open and I'm sitting there acting stupid. Like, I wouldn't even call it dancing at that point. It's stuff you should only do in your own bedroom when the door is closed and nobody's there. But for some reason, I find that entertaining and I like to do it. And I laugh my ass off. And nothing is perfect in my life. Like, if you look at my life right now, it's kind of a mess. And yet I do that all the time. All the time. I did it yesterday. My friend was like, you're dumb. Couldn't help it.
All right. No, because happiness, like I said, is the small things. They don't have to be big.
No.
They have to be something that makes your heart flutter a little bit. And that's what makes people happy.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yesterday I was looking through every streaming channel that I have because I wanted to watch a movie and I wanted to watch The Crow. Just bugging me out. I was like, I couldn't find it, and then it was on Amazon, and I was like, I don't want to rent it. My friend goes, just rent it. It's like fucking $3. Just fucking do it. If you want to watch it, you want to do it. Nah. So I walk in my room, grab this little flashlight that I have. So I'm going through all my Blu-rays and I'm like, there it is. And I owned it. And I was like, that's why I didn't do it. So today I'm going to watch The Crow. And that made me happy. I was just like, right. I wanted to watch that movie. And for whatever, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie. If you have, it's a great film. I love a good revenge movie. I love people getting back at the bad guys. And that's one of my favorite movies for that. Cause he comes back for love and then makes sure he gets the job done. But, yeah, so it's a small little steps that we take that'll get you through the day that you're like, yeah, man, even when you're having a shitty day, you find something that you want to do and you make it work. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the bigger things that I wrote down too. I wrote down that at the end of the day, we need to find happiness in ourselves before we can find happiness for one another person. Because I think you need to know what makes you happy. And whatever that is, you need to be able to show that to the rest of the people that are around you and say, this is what it is. So everyone else can either feed off of it or understand who you are. Because there's too many people out there, I think, that are wearing huge masks that are just in a daily one, where instead of wearing it to where you have to be, because sometimes people do that. You wear a mask at work because you're having a shitty day because you have to. And then when you get home, you can take the mask off and be who you are around whoever you need to be. Mm-hmm. Some people never take the mask off. They wear it to work. I think it's hard to.
It
is.
think of our conversation last week with living with an addict. How often did you see a mask on my face, knowing what you know now?
Every day.
Every day. Was it a mask, or was I just doing my best to have a good day and be in the moment? I think that there's that too.
It's wearing a mask as a coping mechanism.
Right.
Because you have to wear it.
Yeah. But I believe that I didn't just cope. I believe I was a happy kid. I believe I was a fun kid. I believe I had a really good life because I took advantage of every freaking thing I could. But yeah, I still had to be a certain way.
Yeah, I think that you, knowing you during the teenage years, I would have never not thought you were happy.
Right. Because I was happy.
Yeah. But I think you put things on a shelf probably, though. You know what I mean? Like your happiness was escaping home.
Yeah.
Maybe school.
Well,
that's probably why school was great for you.
Yeah. I compartmentalized. Well, school. Yeah. I believe that school was so good for me because it forced my brain out of what was going on at home. I literally could not think about what was going on at home because I had these crazy scheduled classes where I had to be on top of my game and pay attention and do everything I needed to do. And then I wanted to be social. So then I had to be in all of those things, which took up even more energy. So I think I exhausted brain power to give a fuck about what was going on at home for at least those 8 hours a day I was gone with school.
Mm-hmm. So do you think...
But I was happy in those times. It wasn't that I wasn't. I was really happy.
Oh, no, I remember.
Yeah.
But you have a pretty jovial aura. Like you're pretty happy all the time. Or at least...
I try to be.
Yeah. No,
that's the state I like to be in.
Right. Well, I think we all like to be in that state.
Do we? Because I don't think we do. I think people like being miserable. I don't like being miserable. Like I could go there at any moment. I just don't like it.
I mean, look, there are people who like to be miserable.
Yeah.
That factual. There's no doubt about it. There are people who wallow in misery and don't even want to be taken out of it.
Right.
But there are also people who crave that happiness, that are searching for it, maybe just don't know how to get there. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I mean, I definitely am a wave rider. I wouldn't say that I don't like to be happy. I think we all like to be happy.
No, you like being happy. If given the opportunity, you'd pick happy over anything else for sure.
Oh, for sure. I think in the last couple of years, I found a lot of different kind of happies. Mm-hmm. I definitely found some happiness when I went across the country and saw different places like that weren't here, that were just regular and relaxing. Kind of like when I went and saw my brother a couple of years ago in Idaho, and he lives in a smaller town, and it's definitely, I guess being calm can make you happy, right? So you're in this different calmness and not the constant flow of Southern California. You know, the people who live here, whether you live where I live or you live where you live, it's hustle and bustle. Shit is moving all the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought when I walk my dog sometimes at like 4:30 in the morning, my building that I live in is dead quiet. And I mean, like, it's scary dead quiet. Mm-hmm. But I'll walk to the street and there's already multiple cars on the road.
Yeah.
And I remember as a child, you know, you could go on the freeway at 3 a.m. and it'd be empty. 2 a.m. I mean, empty. When we first started driving in the late 80s, it wasn't packed all the time. Unless you went to like places unless you went to places like Hollywood's always been packed.
Yeah,
If
but
you go to Hollywood,
as soon as you got on the freeway and got a mile out from that, it wasn't packed.
it wasn't packed.
No.
Now, you get on the freeway, I don't give a shit what time you get on the freeway. There's people.
Mm-hmm.
So the freeway is right behind my apartment building. Like, and I mean literally, if I walk to the very end of my apartment building, you can hear the cars. There's always a car on it. 4:00 in the morning, cars. You can hear them. So I think we just live where we live is also can be a hindrance on happiness because everything is always going. There's no slowdown here. And I think that's another part of the life that you have to find. Because we work so much. We live in a country where we work a lot. We work more than we don't. You know, when you're working for 2 days off a week, it's a hard thing to schedule your happiness in. So I think that's another thing we do as people here is we schedule our happiness, right? Yeah, because you're working, you're doing all these things, and we're always looking for Friday evening at 5:00. Like, right. So, and then what's the first thing people ask you, come Friday morning? What are you doing this weekend? Mm-hmm. It's like fucking nothing, I hope, because I don't want to do anything because I'm tired and I want to blah, blah, blah. But you also want to go do something because if you don't, you feel like you've wasted those 2 days and generally the weekends are happy. So I think that there's a lot to finding happiness and it is attainable. It's something that can happen. It can happen forever if you have the right frame of mind.
Yeah. I think like that I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
I think that if you're looking to be happy, you have to look at what you have that's positive for you and start being really grateful for it. And it doesn't need to be very much, but there needs to be acknowledgement of that on a daily. Because it stops you from thinking of all the negative crap that does go on in life. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, I agree.
It's not even negative stuff. It's just stuff we don't want to deal with. So it doesn't even have to be that bad. But if we're not grateful, if we don't look for things to be positive and happy about, the stuff that is kind of crappy seems monumental.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like my friend said, you have to realize that happiness is there, but there's going to be days that are sad. Mm-hmm. And as long as you can and not let the sadness bury you can be happy. And at least that's how I'm looking towards every day now. It's like, look, if you get up in the morning, it's a good start. I chase the sunrise now because I'm up so early.
Right.
And it's awesome because when I was sick and I wasn't feeling very well, I started to walk my dog. So I would be out in the morning and I literally, there was days where me and him just stood on the curb and watched the sun come up. Mm-hmm. So it's kind
when I see stuff like that, I always think to myself, God's an artist, because you see the most amazing. I like to paint, and you cannot create the colors that you could see in a sky. You can't create it's almost like as the sun is coming up when you're right at that peak in between dark and light, excuse me. And you could see the sun you could see the rays or what, not even the sun, but just the light start to come behind the mountains. It's almost like somebody's turning up the music on a radio, at that moment. Right. Mm-hmm. And how could you not be in awe or inspired or happy or grateful? I don't know. I've never spent a day looking at that one particular moment where it didn't fill my heart.
Yeah, I agree. This morning, I looked at the backdrop of a snow-capped mountain that was orange and purple from the different versions of the sun bouncing off clouds and such. It's kind of an interesting view this morning. And I always like to, I take pictures. And I don't know. I think I threw one on Instagram this morning, but it was the sun that was just kind of chilling, coming up this morning with some palm trees. And at the end of the day, it's like, look, you have to find that thing. And I think that those are the things that are starting to make me a little more happy and seeing like, yeah, you know, there's a larger world out there that doesn't always have to be concrete, and that you can find whatever it is or whoever it is to help you along that way, share that with you, and definitely find a way to catapult happiness into each day. Even though you might have a shitty day, you can look at it going, okay, it's okay. Tomorrow, and I hate to sound cliche, but tomorrow is a new day. They're all new. They all start like, look.
Well, shit, this afternoon is different than this morning is.
Right.
Like,
No, exactly.
You don't have to wait another day. You could start to change that crappy disposition at any point, day or night. It's just, you gotta look for the good.
Yeah. And I think you have to not let the obvious things that follow most of us weigh us down, like bills. Bills will always be there. Rent will always be there. And at the end of the day, 9 times out of 10, life goes on. Just does. And whether you're unhappy for whatever reason, everything gets better.
It does.
It just does.
Nothing in life stays the same. And that's good and that's bad, because we want, when it's really good, for it to stay for a while. But then when it's bad, we don't want it at all. And you don't get the good stuff without the bad. You have to be reminded that sometimes you need to be happy, and you get that by a big dose of crap that goes on in life.
Yeah.
But even in the crap, you could find good moments. You know, I told you the story about when my mom died and my brother and I are looking over her body and we started laughing about the way they did her hair. If you could find happy during that, you could find happy in anything. And you should look at life like that. You should want to not be miserable, and
Agree.
Just do something about it.
It's funny too, because like I was pissed the other couple weeks ago when I got to work and I had a flat tire. I was like, "Fuck, this sucks." The guy at my work goes, "Could have been worse. Could have had a blowout on the freeway and died."
Yeah.
Yeah, positive.
You know what?
All
Somebody
right.
told me one time, you don't know what you're being spared by having to go through things like a flat tire or your car not working, or if you're running late. Maybe that 10 minutes saved you from a huge accident on the freeway. Yeah. Maybe it saved you from running over a kid on a bike. We don't know what we're missing by just having things like that go on. And so I always try to, when that happens, go, okay, there must have been a reason. Not that that makes me happy, but it doesn't make me mad.
Right. Well, it doesn't bring you down. And if it doesn't bring you down, then you're still in a happy place. Because if you're getting to where you were supposed to be, and maybe that place was supposed to make you happy, you're going to be happy in the long run anyway. So, but that's my take on it. I'm glad I kind of saw some things over the last couple of weeks. I think if we would have did this show a couple of weeks ago, I would have sounded like a downer. I think that it's definitely something attainable. You just have to find what that is and grab a hold of it, and then don't let go. So find your happy.
Maybe you have to let it go. Maybe you have to let it go and just hope it sticks around.
Yeah. Or that. It could be either or. You're correct. Because maybe letting go of something will make you happy, or not letting go will make you happy. But whatever that is, don't be afraid to be happy. Maybe that's the the better way of looking at it. It's like, look, it's okay. There's, you don't get, no one gets out of this shit alive. So you better find you're happy while you're here. Cause man, let's not all, live for 20 years from now when it's like, well, we did this and we did that. Fuck that. Live for now. Cause living for now is what's going to make you happy.
I, 1 year for, brunch, we went to BB King's House of Blues, and I believe it was for Mother's Day. It was a Mother's Day brunch, and very religious, gospel-y music playing, and people preaching, and good food. We had a really good time. It was so much fun to watch and experience. It was just a good day to take the moms out in our family, and I remember a man was asked to come up on stage, and he came up in a wheelchair. This man was a big man. He said he was 6'4", and he was in his early 30s. He had 5 children under the age of 6, and he was in a wheelchair. I guess a woman at the Glendale Galleria decided to try to take her own life and jump off the bridge there. And he was a security guard and saw her and went running and caught her. When he caught her, he sustained not a brain injury, a spine injury that caused him to be in a wheelchair. Like he couldn't move his legs after that. It paralyzed him. The woman lived. Nothing happened to her because of him. And so he was up on stage saying, you all walked in here tonight or today, and you could walk out. And you don't have to worry about how you're going to walk your daughter down the aisle when she grows up. You don't have to worry about how you're going to feed your kids. You're all able to work. You're all able to go to the gym. You have a body. Live in it. And when he said that, that really struck a chord with me because, first of all, being a bigger person, I always hated on my body. And here, this guy, like, he can't even use his, and I mean, he was huge, stacked, just like muscle upon muscle, and he couldn't even move his legs anymore. And here he's still saying how life is good, how he's happy, he has what he has, how he's going to take the challenges and find new ways to deal with them. And I believed him. I believe he will. I believe that he will struggle because what he was going through is a struggle, but the mindset that he had, if he just stayed with that, will get him so far. And again, I didn't even have my daughter at the time. So it was before I was 30 years old that I had heard this man. And here I am today telling you what he told me or what he said on the podcast all these years later. So, I get accused of not being authentic because I try to be happy all the time, and trust and believe I'm authentic. You're always going to get exactly what I'm thinking, exactly how I feel at any given time. But I'm really working on making the most of every minute of my life, because if I really do this, I'm going to keep a certain level of happy, and that's where I want it to be. And because of that man speaking to me, it honors what he did as well, because I'm listening to what he did or to what he went through, and I'm using it to catapult me out of whatever crappy that I've had so far that doesn't even compare to what he had gone through.
Hey, and look, you're passing it on for other people.
Right. So
it's a good thing.
He was very inspirational, and it stuck with me. So I appreciated that.
I can see that. You're tearing up.
Yeah.
I know, it's good. So looks like we're at the end of our show. That was a quickie. Yeah. And who doesn't like a quickie? So speaking of happiness, So anyway, guys, make sure to check out our socials, that Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, don't get this twisted. Check us out, share, follow, give all your friends our links. You can get us at Apple, Google, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all that good stuff. Anywhere you can find podcasts. And we'll be back here in a week. And any last words there, Miss Tina?
Yeah, Catherine, sorry for last week. I didn't want to make you cry. That wasn't the point of all that, but thank you for listening.
All right, guys. This is an opinion show, so don't get it twisted. We'll see you in a week. Thanks, Tina.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.